good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. It's the end of the week here in Melbourne, Australia. And today we have the Effen cool Starr Effen. We're going to open up with one of his tracks called Experimental Data by No Emis. Howdy do, I hope you're all doing well today, and welcome to the show. As I said, it is Friday, it's Thursday for the rest of you in the world. So you're all living in the past, and I hope you're enjoying that, because guess what? It's the same as what happened yesterday here in the future. Today I'm really stoked because I have not only a really talented musician on the show, somebody who's been a big supporter of this channel as well. I know many of you in the chat know him. I know him really well. Like, he's become a really good friend of mine. I hang out with him every day on Clubhouse. Boom. And he's not only a really talented musician, but you know what? He's a really beautiful human being, and that's what we like to have on the show. So without further ado, I would like to welcome to the show, welcome aboard, Cy Effen. There you are.
Hello.
Hello.
How are we doing?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. Yes, are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right for 6:07 in the morning. I have my coffee. We're all good to go. Studio live today, by the way. Hey.
Sponsored by Dots.
Multicolored dots for the win. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that track that we just heard.
That was a track from my second album and the first thing I've released in about 30 years. So it came about just playing around with some ideas in Nana Studio, and I decided that I can't do lyrics. I've never managed that, but I thought let's look into some documents I've written in the past. I did a thesis about 30 years ago, so the verbal section in the middle of that is just a reciting a section of my thesis. So something a bit different. Probably won't be done again, but you know, it worked.
Yeah, I noticed it's quite a bit sciencey.
Yeah, it sort of it permeated through the whole album. I think I was once I started working with some ideas on that, it just kept flowing. I thought, oh, we'll use a section there and we'll sample something up from that and put it through a vocode and see what happens. So it was very experimental for me, but good fun.
Yeah, and that's what music's all about at the end of the day. And we're going to be talking about doors a little bit later. So we made a little bit of a change to the format, which going forward, folks. We're going to have a little bit of a topic halfway through. And this came about from us talking on Clubhouse, didn't it, really? So to come up with a topic, and I'm just going to go with it because I think it's cool. Before we jump in, I'm going to do something different, mix things up and say hello to folks who are here. Hello, Audible Video, Stephen Rimmer. Joe, I can't do sound effects today. There's Cy in the chat. SM Borthwick, Paying to Get. Who else is here? Ivan Idea, hello to you. Gary Hubs. Let me keep scrolling. I saw Doug was here. Hello, Doug. Hello, Russ. Good to have Russ back. Thomas Christ is here. I'm always missing people and I have to double back. Kim Harden Hudson is here. Bubba, hello to you. I'm such a pro with my ums and ahs. Auntie G, hello. Hope you're well, Auntie G. And I think I said Stephen Rimmer. There's Stephen Rimmer. Hello to you. Nina is here. Hey, Nina rocks. Nina sent me some awesome drums the other day. I love you for that, Nina. Thank you very much. Anyone else that I've missed? Already said Doug, so you can fuck off. Andrew Fox is here as well. I think I've covered most people. If I've missed you, Colin Powell, hello to Colin. If I've missed you, just yell out down the bottom of the screen and I'll catch up. We'll say hello to you guys a little bit later as well. All right, let's boom, get it going. What does music mean to you, Cy?
Oh, starting with Doug's favourite first.
No.
Oh, no, it's not that one, is it?
No, we haven't done that.
Not yet, no. No, it's been a part of my life really from the word go. I've come from a musical family. My mother's a music teacher. She still does teach piano in the house. So from a very early age, I was exposed to musical instruments. And so really from the word go, that's what I grew up with. So yeah, that's how it was many years ago. I had a bit of a break as real life got in the way, but now things have settled down a little bit more. Music's become a much bigger part of my life again. I'm enjoying creating music again, and it's it's good fun. It's some lovely people in the community as well, and everybody just supports each other, so it's great.
I second that. I third it. I fourth it. I fifth it. Do you recall the music that was played in your household growing up, and how has it influenced you?
Right. Earliest memories. I remember the Buggles video "Killed the Radio Star." I think that was probably on the radio. But my mum was a massive Queen fan and a massive ABBA fan, so there was a lot of Queen and ABBA growing up. And I think they were probably the earliest albums I remember from those years.
So Queen, ABBA. Radio Killed the Video Killed the Radio Star is one of my favourite songs. Actually, it's a whole, like, I use that as part of the movie I'm working on. It's like the whole beginning of this whole thing I wrote, where I took that song and rewrote it and messed around with it. It's such a, I don't know, that song to me, it was a really defining moment in music. Yeah. It's because, that's when MTV was kind of happening. Was it before MTV?
No, it's way before.
It was way before. But it made a comeback with MTV because of the whole video thing. I think they brought it back and made an issue about it.
Yeah, because I think that was probably the late 70s, and I think MTV was the late 80s.
It was early 80s, I think.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago.
See, we had MTV in Australia. Was really, I don't know. Did you had MTV in the UK?
Yeah.
See, we didn't have like a specific channel. We had like a late night thing that they would do MTV every Friday night for like 4 hours.
I think it was an actual channel from the get go.
Yeah, well, we're in the outback, so it's a bit different. I see Doug's corrected us. I think the very first video played. It was the very first video clip that was played on MTV. See, I knew there was some kind of connection with it, but I've just been hit in the head too many times.
Good track anyway.
Yeah, it is a good track. So do you think that the music growing up in your house influenced your music that you write today?
Undoubtedly. I think there's a mixture really from the classical music from my upbringing, plus, say, the rock music and the pop in ABBA. It was just very tuneful, not trying to be too clever, but actually being pretty darn smart in the way it works. So yeah, I think I like to try and take some of those ideas, whether I pull them off is another matter, but marks are trying. Yeah,
of course. Do you remember the first album that you purchased, or we'll do and was given, and what format was it on?
Right.
Yeah. You see,
there's two, and I can't remember which is which.
Right.
The one that I think was the first was a classical album called The Classic Experience. And where is it? I still have it to this day.
Oh, wow.
On cassette.
Look at that. Goodness me.
So, yeah. Whether it still works is another matter, because I haven't got a cassette player, but,
Oh, you got to get one, man. I've got one. Like, you get them off eBay, those little ones that have USB things.
Yeah,
do it.
No, I think I probably have got one somewhere. To be fair, it's in a box. So there was that, and then there was also it's a compilation album. It's called Now That's What I Call Music, and it was Volume 10. Now I remember when Volume 1 came out. I think that was probably 83 or something. So that was 1987, 1988, I think. But they were two very, very early albums that came into my possession. I was quite late getting into pop music. It's like everything was classical till about the age of 13, and then something popped and it all went wrong.
Is this it? I think I found it. I'm just doing a search. Is that it?
Oh, that's the one. Yes.
Barcelona, Freddie Mercury, Rent, Pet Shop Boys. Pump up the volume.
Yeah, there's some classic tunes on that album.
Style Council, Alone by Heart, Crazy Crazy Nights, Kiss. Man, you got a lot of songs on this. 30 tracks. Was it original
we're up to
artists?
about yeah. It was. It used to be, I think, either a 6 monthly or an annual thing that they did, and it was just basically a compilation of the charts. And I mean, they're up to about now 130 or something now. It's been going a long time. But yeah, that was the first one I got.
This web page is still active, so it looks like you can still get all these albums from them.
I think they're all available from streaming. I did have a look the other day, and I think I was trying to work out what the date was. I knew it was 87 or 88 because I remember Pet Shop Boys Rent was on it, and that was.
Joe says it's up to now 23,000 at the moment. So
it genuinely wouldn't surprise me if it was. I mean, they release it every other week now.
Yeah. So was that on cassette? That was on cassette too. So
I'm fairly certain that was cassette. I don't seem to have that one anymore. But I think it was cassette.
Do you miss cassettes?
There's an element of nostalgia about them, I guess. There was, whether it's the same in Australia,
they were big,
but in the UK, in the UK there was very much a home industry of recording the charts off the radio, because they used to do a top 40 rundown on the Sunday afternoon, and you basically try to start record at the beginning of the track and stop it before the DJ starts talking over it, and just the whole making compilations of other stuff that you've got was just sort of what everybody did. And I think when CDs came along and albums became more of a fixed thing, it was a shame in some ways.
Yeah.
Not in others. I don't miss pulling the innards of cassettes out of the innards of cassette machines and winding things back on with pencils and the like.
Yeah, I'll just say hello. Jim Shannon Sounds has joined us. Kev Hart's joined us. Guzo Vods, welcome aboard, everyone. The one thing I used to use cassettes for, I have to be honest, is for copying computer games. Because like Commodore 64, I think Spectrums and I don't know if Spectrums did. I think Amstrad did it. You could use the double tape decks and just copy the over to the other tape, and it was the perfect way of piracy. So,
oh yeah, that was rife in the UK as well. I mean, I do wonder. I mean, you can get a lot of certainly the ZX Spectrum games on emulators now and play them on PC and everything else. And I'm not sure whether it was the nostalgia back at the time, or the fact you had to wait 10 minutes for the darn things to load. But the games don't seem to be quite as good when you look back at them now. But you spend hours on them.
Yeah, my dad, when we first got a Commodore 64 in my family's house, my dad got the bright idea to buy computer magazines and sit up all night typing in the programs that you got with them. And I was like, you know what, dude, that's not going to be a good idea. We don't get along at the best of times. And I just remember the first time he sat up all night, it was like 6 hours. It was like 3,500 lines of code. And he got to the end, called me into the room and was like, you ready? All I have to do is type run and hit enter. And off we go. And he
Syntax
hit run.
error.
Syntax error, line 3.
Yeah.
Line 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I never had the patience to try and program the things. So I let everybody else do that. So I think a lot of them, you looked at the amount of lines of code you had to put in, and essentially you had a very boring line moving across the screen doing nothing. Yeah. That was worth 6 hours of my life.
Yeah, it's like stick figure golf. I remember, and my dad's like, "Oh shit, damn." So he goes, "Oh well, it's only line 3. I'll fix that up." Fixes it up. Run. Syntax error. Line 5.
Yeah.
And it was the next 6 hours of syntax error, all the way up to syntax error 3,500. And then as you said, got it done at the end. Finally got it running, and was like, "Fuck, I'd have more fun."
The definition of underwhelming, really, wasn't it? It's like,
the dentist was far more exciting than that. What the fuck? So
happy days.
Tapes had their place.
Kids don't know what they're missing these days.
See, you young whippersnappers out there, what you missed out on, all these glorious days of typing code into a Commodore 64. Hello, fam. Hello. Who else do I see? I think Danny Brodericks is here as well, so welcome aboard. So you mentioned briefly that you had lessons to. Tell us about lessons for. Was that piano lessons?
Yeah, so piano was always my main instrument. I started lessons at 6 or 7, and did all the associated board exams throughout my school time. I picked up clarinet along the way, but that was one of those instruments which I never really had any love for. It had the advantage I could play saxophone because it's a similar sort of fingering and similar sort of the way you play it. But no, piano was my first love of the music, and still is really.
So, I love asking this question. So you had lessons. How was your teacher? Nice person?
Oh well, she may be in the chat. I'm not sure. But yes, I had the rather unique situation, unique to myself and my brother, that both my parents taught me at school. My mum was my music teacher for mostly for the piano outside, but she was on the music staff at my school. And my dad was my chemistry teacher, so there's no escape.
Oh, damn. I always wonder what it would be like to be that kid at school. Was that tough?
I think it's had an overarching effect, really. I think it's difficult because you don't feel able to switch off, and I think that basically sort of led me along the perfectionism trait, which has sort of been an issue throughout my life, really. So I think that's probably the fact that you always feel like you're on show, and you always. You can't pretend you haven't done your homework when they can see damn well what you're doing.
Yeah, that would suck.
It's hard work. But no, it's all good. I mean, it all worked out in the end. So, it couldn't have been too bad, really.
I'm going to say hi to you folks if they happen to watch this, because I'm going to be on my best behaviour today.
Me too.
and you all know that I can do it. I've done it before. So don't start, all right? So there's going to be no swearing at all. Audible video.
Yes, not Clubhouse.
No, it's certainly not Clubhouse. The trouble we get in there. Audible video wrote, so you never use the term, the dog ate my homework?
No. The cat refused. No, to be honest, I was a complete goody two-shoes at school. I didn't really have any option to be anything other than that. But no, I worked hard and did my exams and did all the things I was supposed to. It's very, very dull, really.
Doug's just reminded me I've already sworn. Oh, God. Oh, man. And then now Russ is telling me, Russ, shut up. Really, Russ. When you've got Russ telling you, it's not good. So, from music lessons, where did you want to go with music lessons? Did you want to play music going forward? Was it just something that was thrown onto you? Was there a hunger to play music, or was it just a thing that was in your family?
It was strange. I mean, I never really thought anything other than being a musician as a child. I mean, I was in every orchestra and every band and every musical production that seemed to be in the school. It was just something that happened, really. And it was only when I got to do my GCSEs in the UK, it's the age 16 exams when you leave school, and I was looking to go on and do A levels, which is the next level up. I had to make a choice really between music and chemistry because they clashed in the timetable. Right. And it came down to the concern that if I did music, I could. It's obviously difficult to make it as a professional musician anyway. At the best of times, you need all the talent and all the luck in the world to be able to make it happen. And the reality was, I thought I'll only end up teaching it, and I didn't really want to become a teacher. So it was almost by default. I thought, let's go with the chemistry.
So did you play in a band or anything like that around that time, or or was it school bands, or no?
I was briefly in a school band, which was I can't even remember. I remember we played Dizzy by Wonder Stuff. So it was that sort of indie rock pop. I was playing sax in that band, but I didn't really do much band work until I did a couple of. I was in a couple of bands at university, but again, they were a bit sort of out there. Really, it was more folk related as my tastes adapted.
If I handed you a sax right now, would you still be able to play it?
I wouldn't know which end to blow, to be honest.
Be good, Jade. Be good. There's so many lines. I was setting that up. I know. Well, moving right along. You know what? Let's play another song, and we'll come back and talk about university and where life went after that. Let's bring up a track here. So I think we're going to play Reflections. You want to tell us a little bit about Reflections before I cue it up?
Yeah, Reflections came about with just a bit of improvising on the keyboard. I just had this basic theme that just came together when I was messing around. And I originally thought it was going to be a piano piece on its own. I had this idea that I was going to actually write a proper piano piece. And then I added strings and flutes and other things. And so it morphed. But no, it came out really nicely, and I was really happy with it in the end.
Awesome. Let's bang this, and we'll come back, and we'll see you soon. So, folks, enjoy the music. This is Reflections by No Emis. Let me get all my buttons right. I'm sure I'm doing the right thing now. So it's this one. All right, let's go. And welcome back, folks. That was beautiful and totally different than the last track. Absolutely
Yes, I do like to try and mix things up. I think the biggest fear I have with writing now is sort of repeating myself and doing the same thing over and over, and so it's just trying different things out. And I think certainly seeing what other people in the community are doing, it sort of confirms that try things out. It might not always work, but if you don't try, you never know.
Yeah, it's that whole live life dangerously with music. It's a thing that's missing from a lot of music. I harp on about it all the time. There's no danger in music. People are afraid to try new things. And most of the time when you do try new things, you surprise the absolute crap out of yourself. Hello, Rustique, who's joined us in the chat. And what did I saw a comment here? I'm just trying to find it. Guzzo of Oz says, I love the variety of creators we have in this community. Absolutely. It's why I'm lucky I have such a great pool of artists here to dip into and bring onto the show. So, university. So you went on to university. Clearly, I'm guessing, not studying music.
No, chemistry, unsurprisingly. And it's funny, I did know a few of the musicians in my year group, and I was asking them what sort of stuff they were doing. And one example that, we're writing a prelude and fugue in the style of Bach. I was thinking, well, Bach wrote hundreds of preludes and fugues. Why do we need to have more of them written by somebody pretending to be Bach? So it felt almost justified. I mean, I always enjoyed playing music, and as my mother will attest, the theory side, I did because I had to, rather than because I wanted to do it. It was a necessary evil, but as soon as I could actually walk away from writing the theory and doing all the technical stuff, I did.
I'll just say hello to, I saw a couple of other people come in because I'm trying to catch everyone because I know I miss people. So hello, Doctor's Orders, and Brad. Brad is here as well. So do you feel any pressure after last week to have a story that'll top the bear story?
Yeah, I don't. I have no stories about bears. Not those sorts of stories, anyway.
We'll make one up at the end. See, I should do that each week. We'll have a "Can you top Brad's bear story" every week.
Yeah. No,
I don't think so. I think Brad just wins. You win, Brad.
Yes.
Here's your medal. You are the champion. University comes and goes, and look, I want to talk a little bit about your career away from music because you mentioned at the start of this, life gets in the way, and it's a common story that you hear on when I have people on the show. So you've led a very interesting life of employment.
Yeah,
you've done heaps.
Yeah, I decided that I wasn't very good at staying in the same place for very long. I think I just get itchy feet, really. But no, just to bring it back very slightly, my original sort of foray into electronic music and writing was actually sort of at the end of my A levels, but before I went to university, and I recorded a few tracks back then, and that was that really. I went off to university and didn't really do anything of my own stuff. I played in the covers band, and that was that. And then starting work, I managed to pick careers that involved lots of exams and studying. So I think I spent a lot of my time doing book work, and that sort of took me completely away from music. So after getting a chemistry degree, a theoretical chemistry degree, I then went into the murky world of corporate pensions, which is almost as exciting as it sounds.
Murky.
Oh yeah, it's.
Hello there.
I think our claim to fame was we made accountants look interesting. But I did that for over 13 years, I think, in the end, and
wow.
It was one of those that I got to the point where I just felt I was repeating myself. It was just, you start with small, I love my tiny little clients, which were really personable and friendly, but the career progression just seemed to be getting more and more larger prima donna type clients that I really couldn't hack. And the corporate environment I was working in was changing very rapidly. We were very, very much a British company in the feel of the company when we started out, but over the years we became more and more New York centric, and all decisions were being made over there, and it made it a pretty unpleasant place to work after a while. But the biggest problem I had was that I just felt disconnected with the world. We're just basically doing stuff for shareholders, and I always felt that the members whose benefits we're ultimately making sure were being paid correctly on time to the right people. It's not really rocket science. They were sort of at the back of the queue in terms of importance. And I started out as a voluntary police officer whilst I was doing that. So I just wanted to see a little bit more of what you might call the real world. And it sort of intrigued me enough to actually quit my day job and actually train as a regular police officer in the UK. So wow. I did that for about 6 more years. But the problem that happened there was you're really working with an imperfect world, and a lot of Groundhog Day. You go into the same jobs day in, day out, never really fixing anything. And this is really where the perfectionism began to take a hold on me, really. I became more and more obsessed by the fact I couldn't fix things, and more and more obsessed that they were going to go wrong and it'd be my fault. And I think ultimately that's basically built and built and built until I had a complete burnout. And so I had 6 months of basically not knowing who I was and just basically recuperating. That was a fun year. That was 2015.
I could only imagine how, coppers get a bad rapport and they get a good rapport, and there's like anything, there's good and bad in all things. There's yin yang and everything. I can only imagine how tough it would be to do something like that. Where, like anything, I guess we all go into things with good intentions. From politicians to nurses to everything, everybody goes in to these things with good intentions. So, I mean, the crushing lows of not being able to fix things would be absolutely devastating.
And again, it's challenging because it's one of those jobs where after the event, everybody judges everything with 2020 vision, 2020 hindsight vision. And reality is you're trying to do what you can with what you've got in front of you, not necessarily knowing the full story. And when it goes horribly wrong, people get hurt, people get killed. And that's the reality of it. So it's a tough job. And, I really enjoyed the time whilst I was doing it until it basically ate me alive, really.
Yeah. Can I ask, how did you crawl out of that? That whole experience of coming out of that with, things compounding really hard. Did you have a methodology to overcome all of that, or?
Well, I had a psychologist, which helped. And he basically put me back together again and explained what had happened. And it was just basically unpicking everything and gradually accepting that, because the perfectionism was the biggest problem there.
Yep.
And I'd normalise it. For those that don't understand perfectionism, it's essentially you're trying to do something to the absolute perfect that it can be. And if you don't get to that high level, you failed, and it's a complete disaster. And it sounds quite simple to actually talk about, but it's almost like a form of OCD. It's not OCD, it's subtly different. But understanding that way of thinking wasn't actually healthy or even normal was really the breakthrough.
Yeah, I can absolutely empathise with you because I've done a lot of volunteer work for people living with HIV, dementia and stuff over the years, and I had a few, I only had 4 clients over 9 years, and 2 of them I had to hold their hands while they died in front of me with no family, and it destroyed me mentally.
Yeah.
Because even though I knew I couldn't fix it, there was still that belief that you can, and then when it doesn't happen, that was actually harder to deal with than actually seeing somebody die in front of you. That I found just crushing. That nothing could be done. It's powerless.
Yeah, I think it's the difficulty is, well, I think the mindset has to be you're fully engaged at work, but as soon as you go home, you completely switch off and forget about everything until you next go back into work. And that's something I could never do. You know, it would follow me around because I'd be wondering, is this okay? Is that going to work? Is that a problem? Have we done this? Have we done that? Is there anything I haven't thought about? And it's just very, very tiring, and it wears you down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure it's something that people in the chat can identify with. I can see that people definitely are identifying with that. And as a musician, we're pretty emotional beings as creators. On top of that,
yes.
So it doesn't help. It really doesn't help.
No, I mean, at the time, I really wasn't at all creative at that point. I mean, at the time when I actually probably had lots of time where I could have invested in music, I was exhausted. You know, mentally, I wasn't in a position to be able to do that. And as I say, it was time, it was getting the help, and then really working out, well, I can't go back to that because that will be a bad idea. So what do I do instead?
Yeah.
And so that was really the next chapter.
Now, we haven't discussed anything of what we're talking about today.
No.
I'm hoping I'm not overstepping a boundary here. I think you know where I'm going to go next.
Go for it.
So, you talked about having a psychiatrist and hitting a low point. You lost a partner a few years ago, yeah? Yes.
My husband Mark passed away in 2012, and had a relatively rare blood cancer called myeloma, or multiple myeloma, to be its full name. It's even now still completely incurable, but there are treatments which basically prolong the life and keep it as comfortable as possible. But it's the nasty thing. Well, there's lots of nasty things about it, but essentially, the cancer causes protein buildups in the vital organs. So you start getting lumps of protein in the lungs, in the heart, in the kidneys. So a lot of the follow-up treatments Mark was having was just to assess the damage, and ultimately, his heart couldn't keep up with it anymore, and that's essentially what happened at the end. So, along with all the work pressures that were going on, this is one of those things in the background. And the thing was that because Mark was always very, very open about the cancer, he always wanted to be Mark the person rather than Mark the cancer sufferer, and so he would always talk about it and would be really confronting about it. So not worried that people would go, "Oh, I don't want to talk about this." He'd actually say, "Well, no, let's talk about it." And that was good in many ways because it meant we could work our way through it, and it also meant to an extent we normalised it, which again makes it very, very strange because it was almost like a third person in the marriage, really. This sort of entity that controlled everything, really. But no, and say sadly, it got the better of me in 2012, and so we had a good few years together, but not enough.
100%. And I didn't hit you with how I was going to bring that up. We've talked about it in private, and the reason I ask about it is because I find you to be an incredibly strong and beautiful, caring human being from my time that I've known you. So, and I know as humans, we all face this kind of stuff, and it does make us stronger. I can agree with you 100% on with illness, and I think anyone here, I think this is why I want to ask these questions, because with illness, people do focus on the illness so much. I remember when my blood condition happened, I was in hospital, and I lost my spleen, all this horrible stuff went down. People actually deleted me from Facebook because
Yeah.
they didn't. They felt like it was affecting them so much they had to remove me as a friend because it
Yeah.
became about that and not about me. And it was like, wow, people really react odd about these things and forget that, hey, there's still a person here. Hello, like
Exactly.
we're still dealing with this.
And again, it was there's certainly with cancer in the UK, there's still a stigma about talking about it, and that's really unhealthy. I mean, ultimately, I think it affects 1 in 3 people in the course of their lives. So to pretend it doesn't exist or it's something that we can't talk about and actually think about, that it just seems madness, really. So, as I say, Mark's approach was be very, very open and confronting about it. And I've really taken that sort of power that generated, along with the mental health side of things, which is, my little bugbear.
So, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Not at all.
Thank you. I want to talk about your music. So, when was it that you got back into music? When did you start finding your little
2018.
So a bit of a time.
I took off about 28 years, so small break.
Yeah, tiny.
Now, the piano I have at home is a digital piano, and it's got MIDI ports on the back. So at some point, I think about 2004, I had this idea that I could connect the computer to it and maybe do some music. But for whatever reason, it just didn't happen. I think I downloaded some software, and I think the passage of time, I just couldn't work out how to do anything with it. And, clearly the time wasn't right. So roll on to, I think it's about September 2018. I've just gone to bed and I was just flicking through various emails that had come through on the iPad. And there was something about the Audio Kit Pro synthesizer, which they just released. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, and downloaded it. And that was really the start of the descending down the new iOS music rabbit hole. I think I started working my way through that. And there's all these names of sound developers that, people I didn't know who they were, including one person that was some bloke called Doug. And I thought, could he be that one that's dancing on the screen? and basically, I started playing with Audio Kit, and I thought I need to find out more information about, because I couldn't remember how to use a synthesizer. I'd always been a presets person, even though we have, just as my original Casio.
Nice. There we go.
Which I still can't program. Casio's phase distortion malarkey. I have no idea. I was reading up about it before. I was still clueless. But so I thought I need to find some more information. And that was the only link, because it mentioned the sound test room, and I thought, okay, let's go and have a look at some videos. And yeah, the rest is history, I guess.
And we still sit there watching
We're still watching dancing every night.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like I started when I got my iOS device. I think I started making music on it in like about 2011 kind of thing. And when I found Doug, we've said this in Clubhouse, I found Doug, I was like, God, listen to this guy. He's got all these apps. He's got all this knowledge. And now every night we sit in Clubhouse and listen to him eat his dinner.
Indeed.
What a bizarre world. What a circle we've come. So so you found iOS. Had you done much recording using computers, that kind of stuff?
No. Last time I'd recorded was with the Atari 1040 with the beta software back in 1991. It was the last time I'd recorded anything. And I started, I mean, I think I saw Doug's review of Cubasis and thought, oh, that looks like something that's familiar, and ended up buying that. And it was really, I started out just trying to recreate the things that I'd written back in like the early 90s, because I'd sort of put them up almost on a pedestal, really, because it's something I'd done and I couldn't remember for the life of me how I did it. So I really spent 2019 trying to learn how to make music again, and how to build tracks in a DAW, and just work it all out. So that was the first challenge, because I think, when you're 17, 18, you pick up techniques about how to do stuff really, really easily, and you don't think about it. It happens, and you go, oh, that's normal. And then you come back age 40 something and go, ugh. There's lots of things on the screen. I've no idea what's going on.
Well, you're doing all right for that. All right. So I think we both know how cool iOS is. Let's hit it the first time doing a topic today. So digital audio workstations. There seems to be a lot of contention on in forums and things. I don't do the Audio Bus forums because I don't like bitch fests. Yeah. But there always seems to be a lot of sniping and complaining about which one's right. What is your opinion on DAWs and all of this deal of which is right and which is wrong?
Well, we're really fortunate that we've got a number of options. I mean, I'm going to miss some here because I can't remember them all, but obviously GarageBand is the free one that's available. We've got Cubasis, we've got Nano Studio 2, we've got Aurea Pro, and there's a couple of others I've never used. I think it's Music Studios one, isn't it? Yeah. So most of them do much for muchness. The contentious one is Nano Studio 2. Yes, it doesn't do audio tracks. Big deal. Get over it. End of. I mean, if you don't like it, don't use it. Whatever.
Yeah.
The important thing is we've got this choice. If the one you're using sucks and you can't stand it, try another one. Find one which works for you. If you go, all it is a tool. We're not trying to be clever about the music. We've got ideas on our head, and we want to get the ideas into a track that we can listen to. It doesn't really matter how you do it. Whichever way works for you, that's the right way.
Yeah. Look, digital audio workstations are tools.
Yeah.
For you to make music. If you're complaining about what somebody else uses as a tool, I think you're a tool. I think that's you're going to need to have a look in the mirror seriously, because you're right. It's what works for you. And if, I've tried to use as many of them as I can, and they all have their ups and downs. Like you hear a lot of people say GarageBand is crap because of this, and then Cubasis is crap because of this. I personally use Aurea and GarageBand the most. I'm stepping out the box this week and going to use Nano Studio and try and record a whole song in it. I struggle with Cubasis because I find it really cluttered. I find everything on the screen super cluttered and just go, ew. It doesn't mean that I think it's shit at all. It's just cluttered. It's not what I'm used to.
I mean, the thing is, if there was a perfect one size fits all that was there, everybody would be using it, and there'd be one door. And the fact that we've got so many different doors available, and people have each of them as their favourite, just confirms it. I mean, they're much for muchness. They mostly do most of the same things most of the time. So, whatever works for you is the right one.
It's all ones and zeros at the end of the day, and it's going to be what layout works for you and what method works for you. God, there's been times when I've recorded songs and I've used multiple doors. Like with the Metheist album, which you can see on this channel, my whole process of recording that EP last year in Songtember. I made all the drums in GarageBand and then transferred them all across to Aurea Pro.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's I think the main thing to focus on is if you're having, if what somebody else uses is giving you a fucking bad time. Oh, I swore again. Swear jar. But seriously, if somebody else uses is affecting you, I think it's your problem. Like,
absolutely. No, I for whatever reason struggled to do drums cleanly in Cubasis. I tend to build my drums in Nano Studio, record out the stems, bung them into Cubasis with the rest of the track. It's not the most efficient way of doing it. Works for me. Don't care.
Now, I know I'm going to speak for Russ here because Russ hates the piano roll.
Oh, it died. Oh, my word. Yeah. If you want to hear me swearing, put me in front of Cubasis piano roll and you'll hear me. The language will turn blue. It's as frustrating as it comes. That's the one thing I don't like about Cubasis. It's just, it doesn't, you're trying to move it around with your fingers and it goes anywhere and everywhere. Yeah, it is very frustrating. Nano Studio does that a lot better. But, it can't be that bad for me because it doesn't stop me using Cubasis. It's an annoyance rather than a deal breaker for me.
Yeah,
I know Russ's situation is slightly different because obviously he's not able to control the screen quite as easily.
Exactly.
With only using the one hand.
Yeah, there's a reason that he finds it incredibly difficult because he's only got the one arm to use. So it's incredibly frustrating. I think there's this consensus of people at the moment too, and sometimes I fall into that thing. Everybody's waiting for Logic to appear on our wonderful iOS devices. And you know what? I get this feeling that everybody thinks that once Logic does come, because it will eventually appear on our iPads, that it's going to be the magical savior of DAWs. It's not.
Yeah.
There's going to be issues as well.
It comes down to what's it going to do different to what all the other ones are doing that's going to make it so much better than all the others. It might be. It would be great if it is, but realistically, it will be another option, which some people will want to use, and other people will just carry on doing what they're doing.
Yeah. There's always going to be something to complain about, and that because this is part of human nature, I think, and not everything's going to work for you. Use a combination of things. I don't know. What's everybody use as their preferred DAW? Feel free to type it in the chat while we continue on with this interview, and I'll circle back and we'll see what everybody else is using. I find it interesting because there's not a really lot to choose from, so it's only going to be like from a handful of 8 or 9. All right, I want to talk about your album. The album, the Beyond the Light album. But before we do that, I think we're just on the hour, so I'm going to play. Perfect how it just works out. Beyond the Light. I'm going to play that track. Man, didn't plan this at all. So we'll play the track and we'll come back and we'll talk about this album. Yeah?
Okay.
Sound good? So you guys got time to write what tool you use in the chat and then we will come back. So this is Beyond the Light by No Emis. Enjoy, folks. Oh, let me make sure I've got everything lined up because I'm a bit slack today. Let's sort that out. We're good. And here we go, maybe, perhaps. God, get your shit together. Alrighty, boom. And that was Beyond the Light from Size Beyond the Light album from this year. I think it was released in March. Let me bring Sai back up here. Hello, there we are.
Hello.
Yeah, so tell us about the whole concept of this album.
It started out with a brief of not taking as long to get to album 3 as it did to get to album 2. So as long as it was within 30 years, that was the plan.
Good plan.
And it started out fairly slowly. Beyond the Light was actually the first track that I wrote for it. And that was really me trying to be as experimental as I could. One of Rob Jackson's apps, Moodscaper, is really nice for just making some very spacey open sounds. And it was really trying to do something that wasn't like I'd done before. So not starting with a 4-on-the-floor beat or anything like that. So it was just, let's start with some sounds and see where they take me. And so we were talking about Doors before. That was all recorded via stems in AUM and then assembled in Cubasis with a few other synths just to support it. So it started out that way, and I was just writing back end of last year, and the original plan was to maybe get something together by the end of the summer this year, but I managed to do an injury to my foot. I did a lot of running over the winter and my foot decided to explode. So I was stuck indoors and the weather was rubbish and I was just feeling a bit sort of, now what do I do? Because again, with the pandemic being on and lockdown being a thing in the UK over the winter, I wasn't working at the time. So I was left with a lot of time on my hands and not much to do with it. So I had a couple of weeks where I just sat down and tried to write some new tunes. And so the rest of the album sort of came together quite quickly, but it was the usual mishmash. I tend not to, I always struggle to try and say, oh, it's a particular genre, because it's just me. It's a bit of classical stuff, a bit of weird spacey stuff, and with a side of 1980s synth pop. So I tend not to overthink it. I just get a load of tracks and then see how they all sit together and go from there.
Guzzo, before I jump into Guzzo's question in the chat, hello to Curve. Who else do I see? Benedict Stewart, Peter L. Someone else I saw who I missed, I think. System Ashore. Welcome aboard, folks. Guzzo of Oz has a question. How can you talk about how the video was made?
Well, with most of my videos, they are clips from Pixabay, which is a sort of royalty-free video clip site. I would have loved to have got into space and filmed all those asteroids, but budget didn't allow. So, so yeah, the idea with it was, I mean, the whole piece of music is very, very open and mysterious and grand, and so that was the idea. I just wanted to convey that sort of feeling within the video, just so it seemed to make a bit more sense.
Awesome, yeah. So, I mean, are you using what video creation tool are you using to make videos on iOS?
Excuse me. I use LumaFusion. That's dead straightforward. It's fine for an idiot like me to use, and it's simple. You can do some really, really clever, funky things with LumaFusion, or at least everybody else probably can. I can't. But from the point of view of assembling lots of different bits and pieces and clips and putting them together with the music so it all fits to time, it really is a drag and drop process. So it's very quick and easy to get some nice results. I mean, the Reflections video we saw earlier, they were all my own clips. I was just coming back from work and went down to the local local lake, and just found a few ducklings bobbing around the water surface, and thought, oh, that'd be quite nice, and took a few clips and did it the same way.
So, how long did it take you? Because you mentioned you've got 2 albums. It's 2, isn't it?
Well, it's
Bring it back up.
technically 3, but the original album, Songs from the Border, which was the tracks from 1991, they're there more. It's more historical importance to me than anything else. I think they were the start of the journey, but also that linchpin of me relearning how to do what I do. And from that, I was able to then write new music, which really started with the symmetry.
While we're talking about animals, because you just mentioned ducks.
Yep, segue.
I'm taking advantage of it as it happens. So, and circling back, because you are a real animal lover, and so much so
Yes.
that it's what you do now, isn't it?
Yes, I love animals for a living. That sounds very, very wrong. Yes, so after I left the police in 2015, I was just trying to work out what I wanted to do, and I thought, I like animals. Why not work with animals? And there we go. That's one of my customers. Sadly, moved out of the area now, but that's Moriarty. He likes to cuddle, as you can see. He likes to try to eat my ear from behind. But yeah, I look after cats. So when people go on holiday now, that's my job. It feels like I am completely cheating a living, and I don't care. It's wonderful.
Yeah, what an awesome job to look after people's animals, like. And they're so much better than human beings.
Yes, I decided after the police that humans were a lost cause, so I thought I'd stick with cats.
Man, that's a giant cat.
Yeah, he was the smallest of the 3 Maine Coons they had. The biggest one would have crushed me. He's 11 kilograms. I could barely hold him and the camera at the same time.
It's double the size of your head. I mean,
Yeah, he's quite grand, isn't he?
Yes.
Soft as anything as well.
A spectacle in itself. All right, so folks, you can. There's always links to everyone's music and such that are in the chat. So, who come on the show. So, if you want to head to the description, all size music can be found there. I want to touch on the name that you call it your music. No Emis. How did that come about?
Right. It's again a historical thing. When I first started writing stuff back in the 90s, I didn't feel my name really worked as an artist name or as a writer or anything else. And so it was what can we do instead? And so in the end, I just reversed my first name, which is Simon, but it's spelt slightly strangely, thanks parents, Simeon. Put it backwards and go, that looks okay. Huge thought process went into it.
No, that works. No, you've got to have an origin story. You have to. It's a better origin story than Batman's. no one dies in it. So
no. I mean, in some ways, I mean, I've sort of shortened my name somewhat now for the purposes of social media and music. And in retrospect, if I was starting now, I'd probably use Effen as an artist name because that works better. But we are where we are, and it's sort of quite nice to have it's as a separate entity in its own right. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Well, that's another segue. I'll just say hi to Pete Johns, and Pete's just left a comment here. Let me find it. Animals are the best people, except cats. Pretty sure they're just waiting for their owners to die so they can eat them.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I like cats.
I think we can all deal with that. Cats are awesome, but they are waiting to kill you. They are waiting to eat your face.
They would rule worlds once they've got the opposable thumbs. Well, saying that, I have looked after a cat with opposable thumbs. They do exist.
Look, speaking of cats, I still go by the story that the developer of Nano Studio 2 is somewhere dead in his apartment and his cat is eating his face because he never responds to email.
No, that was 2019. It'll be long gone now by now.
He's just bones, along with the cat. So now you mentioned with having the band name and having your name, that's going to segue over to YouTube, because you actually have two YouTube channels, and one of them, the one under your name, you've just started doing tutorials and stuff. Tell us a little bit about that process and that mindset.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's trying to find things which interest me and are maybe not things that other people are doing. I mean, there's obviously a number of channels now that review apps and so it doesn't make a huge amount of sense for me to basically be another copycat channel on that. So some of the apps I use, I like to showcase. Some of the sounds which I find in apps I like to showcase. But what I've been doing recently is revisiting some of the music that I played on the piano back when I could play the piano properly, and just talking about it and seeing what it sounds like if we actually bring it into Cubasis and let the soft synthesizers play the music. So again, we've got pure piano, we've got Ravenscroft, another eternal argument on the forums. I just thought it'd be quite nice to let the computer play it. So again, it's all played in from my digital piano, tidied up for where the duff notes are, and then just recorded into a video with a little bit of an explanation about them.
There's your piano there. Oops.
That's my lovely little piano.
Wow, yeah, I'll bet. But what a nice piano.
And it's really freaky as well, from the science mind that I've got, because it's digital. It's like a synthesizer keyboard, really. All the gubbins are in the top, and then the stand that it's on is basically hollow, and the pedals, which feel like proper sort of mechanical pedals, you just plug them in. There's just a wire, and you just plug the two bits together, and it works. And my brain still can't quite comprehend how that can even be a thing. It's just like, it's magic. How does it do that?
Well, I enjoy your tutorials. They're a breath of fresh air. There's something different than everybody else. So I'm always looking for different kind of tutorials, because they can all get a bit boring like mine. I don't know, mine aren't tutorials. I'm just me crapping on every day. So it's good to see another person out there doing tutorials and not just crapping on.
It's going to be interesting for me. So if I'm not interested, the video won't be interesting. So that's the rule of thumb.
And so you've had to, let's talk a little bit about, so when you release music these days, most people know this who've released music through something like DistroKid or whatever. What is created is a YouTube topic channel, and you've actually and now through these distributors you can go ahead and take that topic channel and attach it to an account, and you have made another account for your band name. Walk us through that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those that when YouTube Music creates this topic channel, it's all your music, but you've got no control over it. You've not got to log into it or anything else. So it was a function added to DistroKid a little while ago, which allows you to essentially adopt your topic channel, and that just means that you can control it like any other channel that you have. You can put your artwork on it, you can upload your videos onto it. So the music was already on there, because that all happens by the magic of the distribution services. But it now means that I can put the videos which I'm creating onto that channel as well. So if somebody searches the channel on YouTube Music, not only will the tracks come up, but the videos will as well.
Yeah, it's a good thing when it's done right, and actually you're not poor old Gary Hubbs who had to wait months and months for his to happen.
Yeah, mine was easy. Sorry, Gary.
Sorry, Gary. Suck it up, mate. Sorry, mate. But you got there in the end, Gary. All right, let's jump over to some apps, and then we'll close out with the famous Doug question. So let's open up the App Store. Give us some of the apps that make you happy, and I'll do a search while you're telling me each one.
Right. Well, the first one that I remember buying as an effect thing was the Rosetta Suite by Brambos.
Oh, yes.
And that is a suite. I think there's 10 different apps within it. You find it. ROZ.
Yeah, I'm just going to do Brambos. It's the easiest way.
It's the quickest
find
way.
The developer, then find the app. There it is. It's that one, isn't it? Yeah, Rosetta Suite. There it is.
That's the one. Yeah. I mean, I got it originally because I was trying to program a cover at the time, and I needed a step sequencer, and I knew that Rosetta cells would do the job. But yeah, you've got cells. You've got the LFO generator, which I've used a lot recently. They've got two drum sequencers. You've got the Euclidean one, which tends to be a lot more flexible and random, whereas the XOX one is more like your traditional drum machine. The arpeggiator is really useful. Again, you can program it to do all sorts of different bits and pieces. I just find it's a really flexible app, and as with all of Bram's apps, the interface is really clean and simple to use. So you don't have to read a manual to work out how to use it, basically.
Absolutely. Value for money too, because you get there's a whole lot of AUV3 plugins in there that you can use. You're getting like, what is it? It's like 8? Is it 8 different?
It's 8
apps?
or 10 or something, and it's about £10. So it's great value for money, even if you don't use some of the. I think that you've got Particles and another one which I've never quite worked out, but it doesn't matter because I use all the other ones. I'm getting value out of it.
Yeah, it's like a $1 an app.
So that's really good. Shall we do the elephant in the room? Black hole. I wasn't sure whether that was allowed because it's on everybody's list, but yeah, it's
of course.
If in doubt,
hole.
Put black hole on it and it'll sound amazing.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? What can you
but
say?
Again, it's one of those. There's a lot of complexity within it if you want to use it, but it's actually dead easy to get a nice effect without really having to do too much messing around.
Yeah, if there's ever going to be a reverb app that if you're just getting into recording or anything like that, or you're just starting out on iOS and, say you're in GarageBand and there's fantastic reverbs and stuff in GarageBand for free. But if you want to take it to that next level and have like a super pro reverb,
yeah,
you just can't look any further than it. And then, hey, you can look any further after you've got it because they make a whole lot of other great.
This is it. I mean, their apps aren't cheap, but they're good. And I did hold off buying Black Hole for ages because I started with that mantra: I've got a reverb. Why would I need another one? And now I've got an iPad full of reverbs.
Yeah, I was the same. It was only a few months ago that I made the dumb statement that why do we need all these reverb apps? Reverb's boring. And then I downloaded Black Hole and went, oh man, reverb's not that boring, is it? Like, look what it does.
And again, and I think with an honourable mention on that as well, FAC Altether as well. Again, that's more of your shivery space. I think they call it exoteric or something, and some strange made up word. Exoteric. There we go. But again, you want to have that open, spacey wow sound about something that just delivers. And again, you can dial it really as far as you want, but actually the presets are pretty fine as they are.
And you said it correctly, so Doug's happy. So is.
Oh well. Surprised he's not having his dinner.
I know Doug will be making his dinner right now. I can hear the pepper grinder.
Oh God.
Fire away. Anything else?
Yeah,
We've got plenty.
Again, a lot of the ones which which I use all the time, are the big ones. So the two apps, the AUM and Audio Share. Again, I think pretty well everybody in the community probably got these.
Yeah.
And again, they're both by the same developer, and they both work together. And so AUM is a great routing device. You connect anything to it and spit out the output somewhere else. You can load your AUB3s. Works as inter-app audio. It's really useful when you're using external hardware, because you can go into the routing matrix, and it just makes it simple to connect stuff together. And you can record from it, and then, as I say, what I tend to do is I record all the stems, fiddle around and edit them in Audio Share, and then they all end up in Cubasis.
Yeah, these two apps, I mean, like, I don't think AUM is an essential. It all depends on the kind of music you make, but Audio Share definitely is an essential. If you're making music on iOS and don't have Audio Share, definitely grab it. It's worth the money. And as you said, like these two apps tie in probably the best out of any apps on iOS. And so many other apps tie in to Audio Share just seamlessly. Like it is it's ingrained into so many apps these days.
Yeah, to be honest, if I suddenly lost Audio Share off the device, I don't think I'd know how to actually work with things, because the files app just sucks. It just doesn't really. It doesn't lend itself to. Well, certainly not music.
Well,
not sure it lends itself to much really, but it's sort of B-. Could try doing okay. Could try harder.
They're going to have to seriously at some stage update the files app. I mean, it looks like they're starting to. With iOS 15, they've put a progress circle, so you can actually see how long something's taking to transfer between like I guess that's a start. It's definitely a start.
Yeah, they're only about 40 years behind everybody else with that, aren't they?
Yeah, just. I mean, I guess eventually they're going to get
there. Next one, again, you've had it on your show this week. Riffer, audio modern.
Yeah.
Is again, I tend to use this in AUM connected to the hardware. And it's just useful for generating ideas, because then you can tweak what you've got actually in the matrix to what you want. I tend not to use it randomly doing things ad infinitum. I tend to have it on a set loop, keep pressing randomize until I get something which sounds interesting, and then I'll hone that manually. So it's quite a nice way of getting bass lines, getting interesting busy synths. It's also really useful when you're using mono synths. So what I find when I'm playing a mono synth on the keyboard, if you're not really careful when you're going between one key to the next, if you hold the first key down too long, the second key doesn't always sound, especially if you're doing something quite fast. So something like Riffer just does that mechanically, well, electromechanically anyway. So it just gets rid of that problem.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the fantastic thing, as you said, like it's for randomizing, it's great for just making random stuff, but it is more than that, because you can draw stuff in as well. And
yes,
I discovered that when I did a show on it recently, because I initially thought when I downloaded it that, oh my God, this is just a randomizer, but it is much deeper than that. So don't write this off if you're looking for I guess it's a piano roll kind of. It's hard to explain really what it is, because it is a randomizing piano roll that has so much depth and turns your mono stuff into a polyphonic sound because you've got 4 channels. It's really an amazing app. These guys make
very clever,
some killer stuff, and I think this weekend I'm looking at Playbeat, which is another one of their apps, which I'm really looking forward to doing. Doug's correcting me. It's a MIDI sequencer. So if Doug says it must be true. Thanks, Doug.
Oh, it must be true.
Yeah. We all know who Doug is, and I wouldn't argue with Doug ever, because, the man knows how to dance. Clearly knows how to dance.
Absolutely. I guess the last one on my list here, it could be one of any of their apps now, because they've just got released their new full synth. That's SynthMaster. I originally put SynthMaster Player down, but now SynthMaster 2's come out. It's sort of the new kid on the block that does what SynthMaster Player does, and you can fiddle with it even more. It's a great synth. If you can't find it in SynthMaster, you're either, say, looking for something that's very esoteric, or you're looking for something really very specific indeed.
Yeah, and
it's just so many good sounds, and they just work.
It's crazy good. And
crazy loud as well. That's the only snag.
Yeah, so I've got SynthMaster up here, and don't be fooled, folks. It says that I haven't purchased it at $29.99 Australian price. Yay, Australian money. I actually do have it, so I'm still on the beta. I haven't got off the beta yet. This thing is just sick. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
We were talking about this on Clubhouse last night. Even just the sounds that you get with it off the bat, before like signing up and registering and getting all the extra sounds, if you can't find a sound in SynthMaster, I think you probably need to stop making music.
Yeah, I think I bought the desktop preset thing, and there's about 2,000 patches in there now. I mean,
yeah,
it'll take me a year to get through those.
Yeah.
And again, you could. Being a full synthesizer now, you can then tweak them and do what you want with them, or start from scratch. I mean, it's far cleverer than I am in terms of how to use it. So we'll look forward to Spider and a few of the others who know how to make sound patches, and look forward to that.
Yeah, the next couple of years of SynthMaster are going to be really interesting, aren't they? Because there's so much more power. Even though I hate this look, this is probably the ugliest template that I'm showing at the moment.
Yeah, put the blue template on it. It looks nice.
Yeah, the blue template's the best. This one, I don't know how anybody could use that. That is ugly. But here's the blue one. This one's that's beautiful.
Yeah. Easy to look at, and it's really it's a clear interface. There's a lot going on, but it's well set out.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Was there anything else you had? I mean, you mentioned LumaFusion. You clearly use LumaFusion as well.
LumaFusion is on the list. That's again, if you've got any intention to create any sort of video, LumaFusion is just a doddle to use. I know you can get iMovie for free. I started. It didn't go well. I just got really frustrated. It didn't seem to do what I wanted it to do. LumaFusion, dead easy.
It's incredibly unintuitive, iMovie. I mean, and I guess it's a good start. It's a good platform for people to get off, to jump off of. But LumaFusion, if you're making movies and you really want to churn out some good stuff very easily, LumaFusion's the way to go. It's awesome.
It's good.
Anything else?
I think that'll do. I mean, I've mentioned Nano Studio and Cubasis 3 before. Again, find a DAW that you like. That's the one for you. Doesn't matter. Don't worry what everybody else is doing.
I'm going to bring up Nano Studio too, because it ties into this week. So I did a show a few weeks ago on Nano Studio, opening up for the first time and exploring it. And then on that show, I said, hey, I'm going to do a week where I open up Nano Studio. I'm going to try and make a song in it and release it in 4 days. Knowing full well that I'm more of a, acoustic or metal artist as well, and I record a lot of audio. So knowing that this app can't do that, and I know there's a lot of complaints from people saying it doesn't record audio, I think you're just going to have to get over it, because it's not coming anytime soon.
Never going to.
No. So I'm going to, this week coming, take up the challenge to try and create a song without having to rely on creating audio. Because under the hood, Nano Studio is sick. Like, there's no denying it. It's a sick app. Like, the drum pads.
It's worth the entry price for Slate alone. Slate alone is worth the entry price.
Yeah, look, and the drums alone in there are just absolutely so easy to use, and so there's so many good samples you can pile in there, and the AUV3s work beautifully. I took so long to get involved and get on it, and now that I'm on it, I think it's incredible. So I think that's due to Russ. Russ uses it, and look at the music Russ makes. It's just awesome. Alrighty, so we're at the hour and a half mark, so we're at the end. We've got one more song of yours to play.
Mm-hmm.
Before we ask Doug's favourite question, I am going to thank you so very much for coming on the show.
No problem. It's been really, really good fun.
Thank you for being so candid as well and honest. And, I did hit you out of left field. Maybe you guessed I was going to do that, but I thank you so much for that.
No, as I say, it's one of those areas that I feel it important to be open about. There's too many people think, it is taboo. We shouldn't talk about it. It's a sign of weakness. All that rubbish. And the reality is, certainly in a year of pandemic, a hell of a lot of people have had to come to terms with anxiety, which is what I have, depression, all sorts of other mental health things which they may not have expected to come across because it's been such an odd year. People are worried about what the future holds, what their jobs are going to be like, how can they meet their friends, can they do all the things they used to be able to do. And to pretend it's not a thing or to just avoid it just means those people find it harder and harder to actually get through it. So it has to be spoken about.
Absolutely. So, folks, all of Sai's music links, social media, all in the description as usual. So, do a solid. Head over if you don't follow Sai on YouTube, or then do so. And go and download his music and play it and enjoy it because it's fantastic stuff. And I'm going to hit you up with this final question. If somebody was considering becoming creative, when would you suggest the best time for them to start?
There and then. Nobody's got a time machine, so you can't go back and go, I wish I'd started this last week or 10 years ago or whatever. Creativity is something which happens in the moment. So if you're feeling creative and you've got the means to do it, pick up a guitar, pick up a vocal mic, pick up a synthesizer, have a play around, see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? You might produce something and you don't like it, but you might produce something and think, wow, that was really good. So the time is of the essence. Do it now.
Absolutely. Do it now.
There you go, Doug. That's how you answer the question.
Exactly, Doug. I hope you're watching. Hope you're listening.
Boom.
Boom. That's how it's done, Doug. Jesus. He's the only one who was difficult about it. He's the only one, and now he's just going to go down in history as just being a knobhead for that. Sorry, Doug. So, all right, we're going to go out with this track, which is Cool for April. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this before we say goodbye?
Yeah, Cool for April was something which came about by accident in many ways. I was on the beta for a software-defined radio, WebSDR, which is a bit like CB radio and more, but available online. And I was just sort of scouting around, looking for some general radio noise and something that could be used in an experimental track. And typically I come across two British blokes talking about the weather and whether the tomatoes are going to die or not. So it was complete comedy gold. And I just had this audio and I thought, I have no idea what to do with it. And I just started putting some synth lines down and I chopped it all up and it came together. And it was one of those tracks. I would never have set out to make this track, but I'm glad it happened.
And so are we. Thank you everybody for being here today. I hope you had a good time as usual.
Thanks all.
I'll be back tomorrow doing Tornado. I think is the app I'm looking at, an oldie but a goodie. And so I'll see you then. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much, Sai, for your music and your honesty and for being a really awesome friend. So make sure you do all the socials and hit him up and support him and support each other because that's what it's all about, yeah? Let's go out with Cool for April. And if you want to hang on the line, at the end, so
Yep.
I'll say goodbye to you. And see you later, everybody. Remember, keep doing the things that make you happy, and mistakes make you better. And
Thanks, everyone.
Keeping on. See you later. Bye. I better turn up the volume. God, I'm so pro here. See you later.